In the quiet of the night, when the moon cast long shadows across the floor and the rest of the house was deep in slumber, Cinderella sat alone by the hearth. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, their warmth a small comfort in her lonely world. She watched the last orange sparks dance and fade, her heart heavy with dreams she thought would never come true. She was unaware, in that silent moment, that a whisper of magic was already in the air, about to change her life forever. Suddenly the dim room filled with a soft, shimmering light. It wasn't the fire, but something far more wondrous. With a gentle whoosh, a kind-faced woman appeared in a burst of starlight, her robes the color of twilight and her eyes twinkling like the night sky. It was her fairy godmother, and she smiled a warm, knowing smile at the astonished Cinderella. "Don't be afraid, my dear," she said, her voice as soothing as a lullaby. "Your kindness is not gone unnoticed. Tonight you shall go to the ball." Cinderella could only stare, her eyes wide with disbelief. The ball? She looked down at her simple, patched dress. The fairy godmother simply chuckled, a sound like tiny bells. She pointed her glowing wand toward a plump pumpkin sitting by the door. "We'll start with your transportation," she announced with a flourish. With a graceful wave of her wand, a stream of sparkling light shot from its tip and enveloped the pumpkin. Cinderella watched, breathless, as the pumpkin began to grow and shimmer, its round shape stretching and reshaping itself, the rough orange skin smoothed into gleaming, polished gold. Intricate designs swirled across its surface, and elegant wheels appeared at its sides. In a matter of seconds, what was once a simple vegetable was now a magnificent golden carriage, shining brightly as if lit from within, ready for a princess. Next, the fairy godmother's gaze fell upon a few small mice, scurrying timidly from a corner, drawn by the light. Another wave of her wand sent a cascade of light over the tiny creatures. They began to glow, their small forms growing larger and more powerful. Their gray fur turned a brilliant, snowy white, and their timid squeaks were replaced by the proud neighing of horses. Before Cinderella's very eyes stood four beautiful white horses, their manes flowing like silk, already harnessed to the golden carriage, ready to whisk her away to the ball. The fairy godmother then turned her attention to Cinderella. "We can't have you going to a royal ball in rags, can we?" she asked playfully. With one final, brilliant flash of magic, the light wrapped around Cinderella like a warm embrace. Her worn-out dress dissolved into a cloud of shimmering dust, and in its place appeared a gown more dazzling than a sky full of stars. It was a magnificent creation of pale blue silk, adorned with countless tiny crystals that sparkled with every movement. On her feet, the most delicate pair of glass slippers appeared, shimmering as if made from moonlight itself. Cinderella twirled, her heart soaring. She felt like she was living in a dream. Overwhelmed with gratitude and wonder, Cinderella gave her fairy godmother a heartfelt thank you. "Remember the godmother," cautioned gently. "The magic only lasts until midnight. Be sure to leave before the last stroke of the clock." Cinderella nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. She stepped gracefully into the magnificent carriage. The door closed with a soft click, and with a flick of invisible reins, the white horses began to pull the golden coach forward, setting off under the moonlit sky toward the distant glowing lights of the royal palace. The moment Cinderella stepped into the grand ballroom, a hush fell over the crowd. The music seemed to pause as every eye turned to the radiant, mysterious maiden who had just arrived. Dressed in her starlit gown, she was a vision of pure elegance. From across the room, the prince's eyes met hers, and he was instantly captivated. He walked toward her, his gaze never leaving her face, and with a polite bow, asked for a dance. As they waltzed under the glittering chandeliers, it felt as though they were the only two people in the world, lost in the magic of the moment. But time, even on a magical night, does not stand still. As the hands of the grand clock tower crept closer to 12, the first chime of midnight echoed through the ballroom. A sudden sense of urgency washed over Cinderella. She looked up at the clock, her eyes wide with alarm. The magic was beginning to fade. "I must go," she whispered, her voice filled with panic, pulling away from the prince's gentle hold. Without another word, Cinderella turned and fled from the ballroom, her heart pounding in her chest. The prince called after her, but she couldn't stop. She hurried down the grand staircase, her mind racing. In her haste, one of her delicate glass slippers slipped from her foot and was left behind on the cool marble steps, gleaming in the moonlight like a fallen star. The prince, determined to find the beautiful stranger who had stolen his heart, picked up the single glass slipper she had left behind. He vowed he would search the entire kingdom for the maiden whose foot it fit, no matter how long it took. And so, with a promise held in the palm of his hand, the stage was set. Though the magic of the night had ended, Cinderella's true story, the one that would change her life and the prince's forever, was only just beginning.